that you have in the school. The academics is there in every school. Every school does academics. But this school, apart from the academics, also does a lot of activities which ultimately are aimed at developing and shaping your personality. Right from these small children sitting in front who are almost asleep, to the ones at the back who are slightly older, and the girls over there. There are lots of activities which happen in this school which contribute to the shaping of your personality. Activities which determine the kind of person that you're going to become in the years ahead. So that is why those activities are probably the best part of being in this school. And out of those activities, sports is probably the most enjoyable one. Sports is probably okay, I'll try this. Sports is probably the most enjoyable one out of all the activities in the school. And no other school in this country, to the best of my knowledge, places so much of emphasis on sports. We have our sports academy within this school. I mean, that's something really great because I'm not aware of any other school which has an academy within the school, a sports academy within the school. And this academy has got 35 trained, highly qualified sports coaches. In most schools across the country, and probably across the world as well, sports is handled by 1 or 2 PE teachers. In most cases, they're not even sports coaches, they're physical education teachers who have done their BPEd and their NPEd, who are qualified to teach physical education, but they are not sports coaches who are qualified to teach how to play a sport. So in most schools in this country and in most schools across the world, the sports department is run by 1 or 2 or 3 physical education teachers. And that would be for maybe 1,000 students or 2,000 students. There would be 3 PE teachers or 4 PE teachers running the sports program in the school, the so-called sports program, which usually consists of one sports period, sports period, call it whatever you want, in a week, maybe for 40 minutes, where you are allowed to go out onto the sports field and they toss you a ball and expect you to play with it, while the PE teacher probably gives you some input sometimes he doesn't. It depends upon his mood most of the time. But here, it's completely different. Here you come to the sports grounds and there is a coach waiting for you who has a sports training session which he has planned beforehand for you. He knows exactly what he is going to teach you on that day, what skill he is going to teach you, and how he is going to teach those skills on that particular day, because he has actually taken the trouble of writing out a session plan, what is known as a session plan, which is the same as a lesson plan for an academic class. So he has written a session plan where he has decided on what he is going to teach on that day and how he is going to teach it. Now, if I am trying to teach you, for example, say, if I take a cricketing example, if I say that I want to teach you how to play the forward defensive shot, I would have written down Firstly, what are the key points in playing a forward defensive shot? There are different points, different things which you need to pay attention to if you want to play the forward defensive shot correctly. So the coach would have taken the trouble to note down those points beforehand, which during the course of the training session that day, he would repeatedly keep telling you. Keep your head still, move forward to the pitch of the ball with your head and shoulders, pick up your bat with the top hand, etc., etc., etc. So he's taken the trouble to work out these key points which he will keep reinforcing. Reinforcing means telling time and time again, so that you remember, so that you understand that these are the things that you are supposed to concentrate upon while playing the forward defensive shot correctly. Okay, so he's taken that trouble, working out the key points. Now in doing the key points correctly, what are the things that you would need to do? Because again, every key point would be broken down into smaller parts. So for every smaller part of that particular skill, he would have devised a drill, which would be a way to teach you that particular part of the skill by doing a certain kind of an activity. So he would have devised 3 drills. For one coaching session, he would have also worked out 3 drills in advance. The first one would be a very simple one, which would just introduce the skill that he's trying to teach. The second one, once you've mastered that initial basic point, the second one, you would go on to the second one, you would escalate the training session to a slightly higher level, raise the level of the training session a little bit, make it a little more complicated. The second drill would be a little more complicated than the first one. And then, if you are able to master that drill as well, before he finishes the session that day, before his time is over, he will raise it to a slightly higher level again, escalate it to a third level, where he complicates the session with a little more difficult drill. So if you get through all these drills, you would have probably learned that skill on that day. And one thing is for sure, and that's a challenge which all the coaches understand well, that when a child comes to them in the morning, he knows that when that child goes back to the dorm or to the dining hall after the training session, he should have improved a little bit from what he was in the morning when he came. So in the course of that training session, he would have improved you as a player. In the course of those 1 hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours, whatever time he has with you, he would have improved you as a player a little bit. And that process goes on day after day. So if you play seriously, which is what I will request you all to do, you would improve every day, every training session. So every day you are probably a beginner now. Most of you would be beginners now who have not played sports seriously before this. But when you start playing here, every day, every session, there's one session in the morning, there's one session in the afternoon. Every session there will be a little bit of an improvement. So if you keep coming for sports every day, and you're spending 10 months in a year, 2 months of holidays, so 10 months of the year you're going to spend in the school, and 10 months of the year you're going to turn up for sports twice a day, barring the days when you have exams. So imagine the kind of improvement that will happen to you if you take your coaching sessions as seriously as the coach takes it. When he prepares the previous night on what he's going to teach you the next morning, when he writes out a session plan for you, when he works out those drills for you, how he's going to teach you those particular skills, if you take a little bit of interest, if you take 50% of the same interest which the coach takes in you, imagine the kind of improvement that will happen in your game in the course of those 10 months that you're going to spend in this school over the next 1 year. So imagine that you came to this school as a beginner and you're going to be here for maybe 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, 6 years, whatever it is, depending on which class you come in. Imagine the kind of improvement, the kind of learning that will happen to you if you put in a little bit of effort from your side. The coach takes 20 steps towards you if you just take 2 steps towards him. Imagine the kind of learning, the kind of benefits that will accrue to you, that will happen to you. And here's some good news. This learning, supposing you're playing tennis. Now you learn how to play tennis while you were at the school. You didn't know how to hold a racket when you came here. You couldn't connect a single ball with a tennis racket when you came to the school here, but you spent 4 years or 2 years or even 1 year playing tennis at this school. And the coach worked with you, taught you how to hit a tennis ball, how to hold the tennis racket correctly, how to hit a few shots correctly. And that learning, provided you were also a little serious, that learning is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. That's the good news that I'm trying to tell you. This learning is permanent, children. This learning stays with you for the rest of your life. And what you learn today in this school, I don't know, majority of you, once you get into your working lives, once you get into your professions, after you finish your so-called education, because education actually never finishes, but the education that we understand in terms of getting our degrees and getting our marks and certificates and things like that, that finishes. The day you finish school, the day you finish college and university. So the majority of you, after you finish your college and university and school before that, would get into what is known as your professional life. Now the professional life is your working life, basically. You could be a businessman, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be an investment banker, you could be an astronaut, you could be a pilot, whatever it is. Whatever is your profession, whatever it is that you will do in your life after you finish your studies, that is your profession. So once you get into a profession, children, the learning, the academic learning, the physics that you learn here, the chemistry that you learn here, the maths, the entrepreneurship, whatever subject you take, whatever the 90s, all the 90s, the